I'd been with Ethan for 4 years, engaged for nearly 2. We met at a mutual friend's wedding, instantly connected, and I believed we had a solid, fulfilling relationship. He was a project coordinator at a large company where his mother worked in HR. And we shared his apartment in San Diego. Ethan traveled to Mexico for work roughly once a month, each trip lasting 5 to 7 days. He always explained it the same way. Major projects near Mexico City required his supervision. His firm did have international clients, so it seemed reasonable. He'd return with small gifts for me, mezcal, handcrafted bracelets, or charming Day of the Dead figurines I loved collecting. I found it thoughtful that he'd think of me during his demanding work trips. Another oddity I overlooked was Ethan's stance on social media. He avoided platforms like Instagram and Facebook, claiming he prioritized privacy. Whenever I shared photos of us, he'd ask me not to tag him or include specific details, citing his company's strict policies due to government contracts. It sounded plausible, so I didn't push back. The truth began to unravel after our engagement. Last spring, Ethan's mom threw us a lavish engagement party, inviting colleagues from their company, people I'd never met, and some of Ethan's cousins from out of town. During the event, I caught a snippet of conversation between 2 coworkers about Ethan's trips. They glanced at me and quickly switched topics when they noticed I was listening. Later, Ethan's cousin Brandon, heavily intoxicated, approached me while Ethan was mingling. Brandon made strange remarks like, "So you're the stateside fiancé?" And Ethan always liked to play the field. When I pressed him for clarity, he brushed it off as family humor and laughed. I mentioned it to Ethan later, and he got defensive, dismissing Brandon as a troublemaking drunk. After that night, I grew more observant. Ethan always took the same compact leather suitcase on his Mexico trips and was oddly protective of it. He'd unpack it himself, immediately wash everything, and I realized I'd never seen its contents. Once, I teasingly asked if he was smuggling something, and he snapped, accusing me of not trusting him. When Ethan left for his next trip, I did something I'm not proud of, but I'm grateful I did. I searched our apartment. I wasn't sure what I was looking for, but something felt wrong. In his office desk, hidden under manuals and old receipts, I found a charger for a Samsung phone. Ethan used an iPhone. I also discovered bank statements from a Mexican account and a crumpled photo booth strip. The strip showed Ethan with his arm around a beautiful Latina woman, both beaming like a couple in love. Digging further, I found an envelope with a receipt for a wedding ring. Not mine. Dated 2 years into our relationship, a year before he proposed to me, from a jeweler in Mexico City. I photographed everything with my phone and carefully replaced it all. I considered confronting him right away, but decided to gather more evidence first. If he'd been living a double life for years, I needed the full picture before acting. When Ethan returned, I acted normal while secretly scrutinizing him. He gave me a stunning hand-carved wooden tray, kissed me as if nothing was wrong, and rambled about his tiring meetings. I smiled through it, though inside I was screaming. The next morning, while he showered, he left his tablet on the kitchen counter. He'd never shared the passcode, but I'd watched him enter it enough times to guess it. I unlocked it and found everything. Ethan had a separate account under the name Ethan Morales, a second surname I didn't know he had. There were hundreds of messages with someone named Sophia. Love notes, photos, plans. Sophia wasn't his mistress or girlfriend, she was his wife. His legal wife. They'd married in Mexico City 3 years ago during our engagement. Worse, in his messages to her, he described me as his mentally unstable sister, claiming he had to care for me part-time in the US because I couldn't live independently. He said I was prone to delusions about our relationship. He told her he couldn't bring her to the States yet because I might have a breakdown. They were planning her US visa and a timeline for their future. Then I saw the ultrasound photos. Sophia was 7 months pregnant with his child. They'd been trying for a year, and she was due in 2 months. He'd been building a nursery in their Mexico City apartment while planning our wedding. The tablet pinged with a new message on WhatsApp. I opened it without thinking. A video from Sophia showing her belly moving as the baby kicked, with a message. "Your daughter's active today. We miss you, me Amor. 8 weeks until you meet her. I love you." I screenshotted everything. The messages, WhatsApp chats, photos, ultrasounds, their marriage certificate he'd saved digitally. I emailed it all to myself, backed it up to my cloud, and placed the tablet back exactly as it was. I needed time to plan my next steps. This wasn't just infidelity. It was a meticulously crafted double life, with me as a fabricated mentally ill sister. I called in sick to work for 2 days, claiming a stomach virus, while researching Ethan's Mexican life, marriage laws, and my options. That's when I found Sophia's public Instagram. Hundreds of photos showed her with Ethan at family events, on trips at their wedding. Her bio read, "Baby girl arriving June 2024. I scrolled for hours, watching my relationship collapse in real time. Photos of them assembling the nursery during his last work trip. Their wedding when he'd told me he was at a Denver conference, family gatherings, where he was presented as her husband. The latest post from 2 days ago showed Ethan kissing her pregnant belly with the caption, "2 months until we're a family of 3. So grateful for my incredible husband and future father." I was sick to my stomach, but more than that, furious. He'd stolen years of my life while building another with someone else, using mental illness as a cover story. I decided my response had to be strategic and thorough, not a hasty confrontation he could lie his way out of first. I needed to reach Sophia. But I couldn't just message her saying, "Your husband's been engaged to me for 2 years." She was heavily pregnant, and I had to be cautious. What if she believed I was the delusional woman Ethan described? I needed undeniable proof and a plan to expose him to her, his family, his workplace, everyone, while protecting myself. I spent that night plotting. I had evidence, anger, and nothing left to lose. Ethan had no clue what was coming first. Update the next morning. I rehearsed what to say to Sophia. This wasn't just about me anymore. Sophia was building a family with a man who'd woven a web of deceit. But before contacting her, I needed more evidence against Ethan. While he was at work, I photographed our life together. Our engagement photos, wedding venue contracts with our names, deposit receipts, my ring. I found vacation pictures, family holiday snapshots, anything proving we were a couple, not siblings. Then I did something bold. I went to our bank and withdrew my half of our joint savings, about $14,000, meant for our wedding and honeymoon. I wasn't letting him use my money for his other life. I opened a new account at another bank. The teller asked if everything was okay when I closed my portion of the account. I said I was reorganizing finances to surprise Ethan. She believed me. I copied our lease showing we lived as a couple and found old birthday cards from Ethan with messages like, "To my stunning fiancé, and can't wait to marry you." I gathered every piece of evidence proving our relationship and his lies, then came contacting Sophia. A direct Instagram message risked Ethan seeing it first and deleting it. From his messages, I found her personal email used for non-Ethan communication. I created a new email account and drafted a careful message. "Sophia, I have critical information about Ethan you need to know. This will be hard, but you deserve the truth." I attached 3 items to start. A recent photo of Ethan and me at his company holiday party 4 months ago, our lease agreement, and a photo of my engagement ring with our engagement date. I included my phone number, saying I had more evidence if she wanted it, but understood if she needed time to process. I triple-checked and sent it at 11:43 a.m. on a Wednesday. I expected to wait days, maybe weeks, thinking she might dismiss it as a prank or Ethan might intercept it. But at 2:17 p.m., my phone rang from an international number. It was Sophia, speaking quickly in Spanish before switching to English. She demanded to know who I was if this was a cruel joke. I explained everything. Our 4-year relationship, our engagement, our shared home. She kept interrupting, asking specifics. Ethan's birthmark on his arm, the scar on his ankle from a biking accident, his favorite dish. His parents' names. It was surreal, like comparing notes on a shared novel, except the novel was a man we both loved. With each detail, her voice trembled more. I could pinpoint when she accepted the truth. She went silent for 10 seconds, then broke into raw, heart-wrenching sobs. Between tears, she said Ethan was due to visit next week for a 3D ultrasound of their daughter. She'd been preparing their apartment for his arrival. I asked if she wanted more proof. She did. I sent everything during our call, engagement photos, venue contracts, family pictures, our texts. Her sobs turned to anger as she received each file. She shared her side. They met 5 years ago on a legitimate business trip in Mexico City. Ethan pursued her, claiming love at first sight, and arranged regular visits. They married 3 years ago in a private ceremony with her family. Her brother had been wary of this American who visited sporadically, but Ethan won everyone over. Then she revealed Ethan's story about me. His troubled younger sister with schizophrenia, prone to imagining a romantic relationship. He claimed he humored me to keep me stable while arranging long-term care, so he could bring Sophia to the US using mental illness as a cover was beyond vile. To both of us. Our call lasted nearly 3 hours. Sophia was sharp and pragmatic despite her pain. She asked if I'd confronted Ethan. When I said no, she proposed a plan I hadn't considered: coordinate a joint confrontation with no warning, ensuring he couldn't lie his way out. She wanted to fly to San Diego with her brother, Diego, and confront him at his workplace, where his mother and colleagues would witness it. I worried about her pregnancy, but she assured me her doctor cleared her for travel, and Diego would support her. We planned for her and Diego to arrive in 3 days. She wouldn't tell Ethan she was coming, acting normal in their talks, saying she was excited for his visit. I'd keep up the charade at home with Ethan. Those 3 days were torture, sleeping beside him, chatting over meals, kissing him goodbye, knowing he was a monster. He took a call from Sophia once while we watched TV, stepping away to whisper he missed her and couldn't wait to see her and the baby. I dug my nails into my palms to stay calm. The night before Sophia's arrival, Ethan's mom, Laura, called about wedding plans, asking about dates and venues. It felt like a surreal nightmare. Did she know about Sophia? Was she complicit? I kept it brief, claiming I was unwell. After I broke down, the strain of pretending overwhelming me. I texted my friend Emily, asking to stay with her after everything unfolded, saying I'd explain later. That night I packed essentials, documents, clothes, sentimental items, and hid them in my car trunk. The next morning, Sophia texted that she and Diego had landed and were at their hotel, meeting me at 1 p.m. at a cafe across from Ethan's office. Ethan left for work as usual, kissing me and telling me to feel better. I could barely stomach it. I prepared meticulously, withdrew my remaining shared account funds, copied all evidence into 3 folders for me, Sophia, and Laura in HR, and canceled our wedding venue and photographer, losing deposits but not caring. At 12:30, I drove to the cafe, hands trembling. Sophia and Diego arrived, her pregnant and striking him protective and serious. Seeing me, Sophia teared up but didn't hug or shake hands. What etiquette exists for meeting your fiancé's wife? She sat, hands on her belly, and said, "Thank you for finding me. Thank you for the truth." We finalized our plan. Ethan's company spanned 3 floors downtown. Visitors signed in at security, but Laura in HR was on the 1st floor. We'd ask for her, show our evidence, and have her summon Ethan to a conference room for a controlled confrontation. At the reception, I requested Laura for a family emergency about Ethan. She appeared, smiling until she saw me with a pregnant woman and a stern man. I introduced Sophia as Ethan's wife. Laura laughed, thinking it was a jest, until I handed her the evidence folder. Her smile vanished as she saw the marriage certificate, photos, and documents. Silent, she called for Ethan to meet in conference room A and led us there. We waited quietly. Laura looked shattered, staring at Sophia's belly, then me, then the papers. When Ethan entered, he saw me, then Laura, and looked worried, until he saw Sophia and Diego. His face went ashen like he might collapse. "What's happening?" he whispered, but his eyes betrayed he knew. Diego stood, pointing at Ethan, saying something fierce in Spanish. Ethan backed against the wall, shaking his head, seeking an ally and finding none. "You said she was your unstable sister," Sophia said. "You built our daughter's nursery while planning her wedding." Ethan stammered about misunderstandings and complex situations, but no excuse could justify his actions. I stood, removed my engagement ring, and slid it across the table. "Tell your wife why you've been engaged to your sister for 2 years," I said. Laura, silent until now, asked, "Why?" Her voice held raw pain. Ethan cried, claiming he loved us both, that lies spiraled out of control, that he meant no harm. His excuses only fueled my anger. He was still manipulating. Posing as a victim, Sophia stood, hands on her belly, and unleashed her fury in Spanish. Diego stepped between them when Ethan tried to approach. Security arrived, drawn by raised voices. Laura explained it was a private family matter, but people were already watching through the glass walls. I saw Ethan's CEO observing, his face darkening. As security escorted us out, I handed Laura the HR folder saying, "Your son committed marriage fraud. His employer should know who they're trusting." The parking lot, Sophia grabbed my arm, tearful but resolute. This wasn't over. Ethan's actions had legal consequences. Diego, a lawyer in Mexico City, said bigamy was illegal in both countries. As we processed, Ethan texted me, "Please let me explain. I never meant to hurt anyone. I love you both." Sophia showed me her phone. He'd sent her nearly the same message. Even now, he was playing both sides. Second update after the confrontation, Sophia, Diego, and I returned to the cafe. We were trembling, adrenaline, fury, and disbelief crashing together. The barista eyed us nervously as Sophia cried, angrily typing on her phone. Diego spoke rapidly in Spanish on his, and I let out hollow laughs. Ethan sent 23 texts in 30 minutes, from pleading, "Talk to me," to manipulative, "This isn't fair, you won't let me explain," to threatening, "You've ruined my career." Sophia showed me nearly identical messages in Spanish. Diego, off his call, said he'd consulted a colleague specializing in international family law. The cross-border marriages complicated things, but Ethan's bigamy was illegal in both the US and Mexico. We could pursue charges. Then Laura walked in looking broken. She asked to join us. Sophia nodded. Laura sat and said Ethan was on administrative leave pending investigation for falsifying travel expenses, using company funds for personal trips to see Sophia. She apologized profusely, admitting she'd had suspicions but dismissed them as paranoia. Sophia showed Laura an ultrasound photo. Laura cried, saying, "I'm going to be a grandmother. I didn't know." She apologized to me, hoping I'd forgive her for missing Ethan's deceit. I said his lies weren't her fault. We discussed logistics. I'd moved essentials to Emily's and would retrieve the rest when Ethan wasn't home. Sophia and Diego were flying back tomorrow due to her nearing due date. Diego offered to stay an extra day to help me. Ethan called Laura's phone, which she put on speaker. He begged her to fix things, saying his life was collapsing. Laura coldly said he'd created this and would face consequences, calling his actions shameful before hanging up. Ethan emailed me, a rambling plea about loving us both, lies spiraling, and wanting to explain alone. I read it aloud. Sophia laughed bitterly, showing he'd sent her a similar email. We exchanged contacts and planned to stay connected. Laura hugged us, promising to support Sophia. At Emily's, I told her everything. She was stunned, saying Ethan always seemed too perfect. We ate takeout, and I got a call from Ethan's cousin Brandon. He'd heard about the confrontation and revealed Ethan's history of juggling relationships in Los Angeles and San Francisco years ago. His dad forced him into therapy, and the family swore secrecy, thinking he'd changed. Brandon apologized for his vague hints at the party. I told him to ensure the family knew Ethan's latest betrayal. Ethan's dad, Michael, texted me, saying Ethan was at their house in distress and wanting to talk. I refused to meet alone, agreeing to a public coffee shop the next morning without Ethan. Michael apologized, then offered a $50,000 check for wedding losses and emotional distress. I rejected it, saying Ethan's predation wasn't fixable with money, and Michael's past cover-ups enabled this. He warned he'd protect his son, however necessary. I told Emily, who was furious, and we met Diego before his flight. He wasn't surprised. Michael had offered Sophia $200,000 for the child's future, which she ignored. Sophia was safe in Mexico City, supported by family, and filing for divorce. Her doctor confirmed she and the baby were fine despite the stress. I returned to the apartment with Emily when Ethan was at his parents'. It was trashed, broken dishes, scattered clothes, empty bottles. I packed sentimental items and found a gaudy engagement ring in my jewelry box, dated 3 months from now. Emily suggested selling it for my fresh start. I kept it to consult a lawyer. Ethan arrived as we loaded my car, blocking my door, pleading, then grabbing my arm when I tried to leave. Emily intervened, threatening police. Ethan turned aggressive, demanding photos I was taking. In a struggle, a box of framed photos broke. I got in the car, told him he should have considered consequences before his double life, and drove off as he yelled. Sophia texted that Ethan was bombarding her family's phone until they blocked him. Her lawyer was documenting his emails for the divorce. Ethan found me at Emily's, banging on her door at midnight until security removed him. He sat in his car all night, sending manipulative texts, blaming me for overreacting and endangering his child. Emily called police, who made him leave without a restraining order. By morning, Ethan had called my parents, claiming I'd had a breakdown. They didn't believe him. Michael left threatening voicemails, offering money, then warning me to stop contacting Sophia. I was exhausted but determined to see this through with Sophia and our lawyers.